So today my wife was sent home at 11 o'clock due to the snow here in Alabama. The time now is, just so you get to see this. Right, so the time now is nearly 7 o'clock. She's still stuck in traffic, which is from Office Park Circle 280 down here to Bessemer. She took the Green Springs exit going down 31, then onto 150. That's taken many hours. A lot of her work colleagues couldn't get home, so they ended up retreating, parking their cars and going back to work because the snow and the ice and accidents was too deep and too many cars at 11 o'clock. Well, my wife was too far away to either return, which was dangerous, or continue on home, which is still dangerous due to the snow. So let's say for her right now, she's been driving in the car, hanging over piss for the last 8 hours since 11 o'clock. So give or take 10 minutes, she's still not home. Yeah, so I decided that I'll cook her a meal and, a roast ribs and potatoes and beans. But anyway, the point of the story is that a lot of the her impressions of why a lot of the roads were backed up, accidents and so on, was that some people had bald tyres, or the tyres were inadequate for the snow. Another thing is that a lot of cars were actually, I'll go back a bit. Trucks, they were jackknifed, which were blocking the road, the 18-wheelers. Now, there was an interesting little thing when she rang me up. She said, she was on, where was it, 150 on the Green Springs, going up towards the little rise above over I-65. And her car wasn't getting too much, and there was probably a bunch of Mexicans, probably about 6 of them out there, picking up sand with their hands and throwing the sand underneath car tyres, under the car tyres, to give them grip. She said that she probably wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for the Mexican people doing that, but they were doing it with their bare hands. We're looking at probably the temperature 22, 23 Fahrenheit, maybe -8 in Celsius. She was very impressed by that, but she didn't have the money to, slip them a tip or anything like that, or throw them a warm drink. So, yeah, people were really chipping in to get there. Now she's stuck past the Dollar General store, where they built the new Dollar General store, and there's, I don't know if it was 100 cars piled up or whatever, but another trucker's jackknifed. So they've been waiting to get a sand truck in there so they can put sand there to get the car unjackknifed. After so many hours on the road, she used a lot of her phone minutes on her telephone from TrackPhone. So I rang up TrackPhone, and I don't know if you can see that thing, but anyway, I rang up TrackPhone and I said to him, look, my wife's stuck at an intersection. She's run out of minutes after, whatever, and we've had a storm, and it's an emergency thing. Can you take some, I just don't have the credit card right now. I said, can you take some minutes off my telephone and put it onto hers? So the lady, I didn't understand her too well, and she said something like she might be in Florida or whatever it may be. So she said something about 15 minutes, and TrackPhone has generously put 15 minutes of free airtime on her telephone because she's run out of air minutes, and I had to give them my serial number from this phone and just to cut it short. So it's cheerio to track phone for chipping in and helping with the storm here in Alabama. So hopefully she'll get home soon and they'll clear the roads up there. But 8 hours to drive 17 to 23 miles is, it'd piss you off, especially holding your bladder, trying to move 3 car spaces every half hour or whatever may be at times. And anyway, so it's been a long day for her. She'll get home, she'll be tired, she'll be grumpy. Her boss has been calling her up along the way and asking her to come back to work, and because it was too dangerous on the road, but it was too dangerous when she left. So you can't win either way. I think she just wants to get home, sit on the couch and enjoy the rest of the night, even though she'd be bum sore from sitting too long. So anyway, track phone helped. The Mexicans helped to get through. There was other people pushing cars up hills and out of the way on Green Springs, but there was a lot of people with abandoned cars. At one point she said there was a lot of abandoned cars or wrecks, and at one point she said she counted 26. So yeah, I don't have a massive story. I've been listening to Fox 6 News all day. You won't be able to see that either, too bright. Been hearing about all the different stories. But as I said, to go from Office Park Circle on 280 all the way down to 150, which is the Dollar General warehouse where they've just built it here out of Bessemer. It's taken a good 8 hours, I'd say, give or take minutes or whatever. And there's been a few things. And last night at 3:30 I decided that I'd get her a full tank of gas because whatever. And today she's used the gas, probably 3/4 of a tank of gas, probably a little bit more so far. Trying to get these from there to there. So she was appreciative of that, because otherwise if I didn't fill up, and due to the circumstances, she just wouldn't have made it that far as she has. If need be, I might have to put on my jogging boots and go up there and collect her or get her, or she'll park on the side of the road, and there'll be another 3-4 miles for me to go up there, 3-4 miles to walk back. But we'll see what happens anyway. At her work, they said they tried to get a hotel across the road at the embassy or whatever they are, embassy suites, but the embassy suites were booked. I hear on the TV that the embassy suites were offering free coffee, pizza, and a warm place to sit for stranded motorists on 280. But there's a lot of people who are in business buildings around Office Park Circle and all that sort of vicinity on 280. So there's a lot of people not going home. There's a lot of people who've left their cars there. There's a lot of people who have walked home, parked their cars. There's a lot of people who have run out of fuel. There's been hit and run accidents where people have slid and hit other cars and just sort of plant their foot and pissed off and run away. So it's been a little bit chaotic. There was a lady who said she was in her business attire for the day, you'd say a suit or whatever, and she and her brother-in-law decided to walk home. It said a lady had passed and saw her wearing nothing and handed her a coat and scarf. I don't remember the name of the lady's name who done that. A complete stranger. There's been people out on ATVs ferrying people back and forwards to warming station shelters. There's been businesses that have kept open that are offering coffee and soup, normal businesses. So it's sort of very community in a lot of ways. You wouldn't expect it, but that's what Alabama's like in a lot of ways when it comes to disasters. Everyone becomes family, community, help each other out. Churches are open, warming stations are open. They advise people to stay in their cars if they run out and because of the cold or whatever. And then they advise people to not stay in their cars. But where would you go if you have to travel 80 miles back home or whatever may be? There's some people who would walk their 10 miles to go back home and accepted that that's what they had to do, park their car on the side of the road. But, you know, there was conflicting advice, where they're saying stay in your car, someone will come and rescue you, whatever. Now, there's some buses getting around here, and they're picking up people and taking them to some stadium, but I'm not sure what part right now. Schools, some of the school kids couldn't get home. They decided that they couldn't run the buses on the back roads or the rural roads because it was a bit dangerous. So they've decided to keep the kids at school, and a lot of the kids will be staying there for the night. A lot of the parents couldn't go and collect their kids because the roads were ice slippery and a car parking lot. That means that on the freeways and back roads and side roads and whatever, there'd be a lot of cars, but there's nothing moving. You know, either they can't make it up little hills, ridges, or there's been a lot of accidents, or people have just run out of gas in the middle of the road waiting, and they can't move their car forward, backwards, forwards, whatever, and they've just left their car, and that's it. That's why the roads are blocked. It's been a headache trying to, you know, like find out when my wife's coming back and contacting her and keeping her informed about the weather and which way would be the best to go and so on. But as I said, that they wanted her to go back to work and regroup there. But going back to work would have meant that probably stay there and sleep on the floor for the night or whatever may be, which isn't sort of like a too bad thing, but you don't want to really do that. And about food, well, you know, there's Wendy's, you know, across the road, but depending on who's going to slip and slide and break their ass and neck walking across to Wendy's. Even Mercedes-Benz with rear-wheel drive were locking up and, you know, not operating properly. So I'm told too. I don't know why a lot of them have rear-wheel drive, but they weren't sort of handling. Some of them weren't handling the driving conditions. A lot of people who couldn't afford pretty good tyres and were on pretty slicks. That was it. Car's over. Some people were forced to go into work, told to come into work, or they'll be reported that they didn't turn up to their job. So I know of one person who had to park his car on the side of the interstate and walk the rest of the distance to work. So he's done his shift, and next he's going to be sleeping there at work, and he'll have to do his shift the next day too, I guess. Even on these cold days, some government buildings are shut down for tomorrow because of the ice and all that danger on the road. So anyway, that's my summary of the storm here in Birmingham. Of what I know, I haven't been out yet in the car. I may not go out. I did go out in the driveway today and took a few photos, and I went out just before to have a look around the corner of where the car goes up into the driveway. 1 foot slipped arse over tit, and I grabbed onto a brick, but you know, that's not the point. It hurt. So the ground is pretty slippery, iced up basically. Anyway, I'm Mental Help TV, just sharing and ranting about the storms here in the snowstorms here today in Alabama and Bessemer and Birmingham, and the story of my wife driving home, people, a lot of crazy things she had seen, but she hasn't shared all that because we didn't speak forever on the telephone. We just done short notes.